Welcome to Career TV, proudly brought to you by the South African Civil Aviation Authority. I'm Zandi Lendlela and I'm your host for today. Today we have a very special episode, which is not our usual, where we have one or two guests in studio. Today we've got 4 guests that are present with us. Not only that, but we've also got special guests, which is we've got a number of students from different schools around Gauteng that we've invited to be part of our audience today. The learners that we've got today come from the following schools. We've got learners from Boitumelong Secondary School, Bukoni Technical Secondary School, Evelyn Secondary School, as well as Curtis Nkondo School of Specialization. Lastly, we've got Rosefield School of Engineering, my bad. So today I'd like to welcome you all. Welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Things are going to be interesting. Today we're doing levels. We're aviators. We don't just do levels. We do flight levels. We take it up there. Hey, we fly at 37,000 feet of altitude. Yeah, we're talking proper, you know? So we're switching it up. It's going to be an interesting show today. But before we get into the show per se, like I say, today it's a special show. The reason it's so special is because we are commemorating Youth Month, which is very significant to us as South Africans, where the youth of Soweto stood up on the 16th of June in 1976 to oppose the apartheid regime, where they were taught in languages they didn't understand, for one, where it was a system that oppressed them. They decided enough was enough, so that you and I can have the privileges that we have today. Had they not done what they did, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So we just want to acknowledge the sacrifice that was made, because in that process, lives were lost. The lives of Hector Peterson were lost. So it's not a day for us just to relax. It's a holiday. We chill. We have fun. We need to understand the significance of it as the youth of South Africa and appreciate it and grab the opportunities that they offered us, because it is because of their sacrifice. So I just wanted us to understand that and understand the privilege that we've got for us to sit here today and enjoy the type of opportunities that we have, because they stem from that sacrifice. So going ahead from that, like I said, today we're switching it up. But before we get into the technicalities of it all, I did say this episode, and Career TV, in fact, was brought to you by the South African Civil Aviation Authority, which is the SACAA for short. I just want us to quickly understand what I'm talking about and who the SACAA is. They are the regulator of the aviation industry in South Africa. But what do I mean by that? What is their mandate? Their mandate is to ensure safety and security throughout the aviation space. They regulate, I think earlier they told you guys, stuff like airports, flying schools, military training organizations, airlines. Basically, they're like the metro police of aviation. But Abaltati George, you know? You know, so yes, that's what they're there to do, to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to. So they are the ones who are behind the show and have brought this privilege to us. Now, the whole purpose of Career TV, guys, is, in my time, I finished matric 2005. It was very difficult for me to find information about where to go. I just had a dream that seemed far-fetched. I just have the privilege because I'm from Umlazi Township, which is just south of Durban, where from my grandmother's house, the airport wasn't too far away, the old Durban International Airport. So I used to sit there admiring planes the whole time, watching the wheels coming out, and I used to wonder, how does that happen? How does something so big become airborne? That's where it started for me. But making it happen, that was a challenge. Finding the information, that was a challenge. And because of that challenge, it actually took me 10 years, guys, to qualify, sit being a commercial pilot in front of you. Now, that's unacceptable. For a course that can take you 2 years, for somebody to take 10 years, it's ridiculous. Why? I didn't have the information. I didn't know where to go for funding. Now, that struggle I went through. That's why I said it all comes down to sacrifice. The youth of 1976 did their part. This is us, the SACAA, the panel we've got here. That's our little sacrifice, so that you don't have to struggle the way we did. Now we are bringing the information to you. We are bringing the opportunities to you. That is exactly what the civil aviation is doing as well, because they are giving us this platform. On our own, we can't do it, but as a collective, if siyasebenzisana, then we can make your future brighter than ours is. So that is the whole point of this show. We are bringing the information to you, so that in as much as you're sitting at gas, and you may be in a disadvantaged position, you're not entirely disadvantaged. This platform is available to you. The information is there. Now, all you have to do your part. Focus at school. Put in the work, take the opportunities and run with them. I don't want you sitting here talking about 10 years. You should be saying, I did it in 18 months. You shouldn't struggle like that because we've brought the information to you. All I ask is that just run with the opportunities. The world is your oyster. The sky is not the limit. That's our playground. Moving on. Enough about me. I'm going to bring it back to our guests. Welcome, ladies. Thank you. And welcome. You guys are also welcome. It's lovely to have you here. I'm going to invite our first guest and engage further with her, and we get more information. She's looking beautiful. They're all beautiful, by the way. She's a commercial pilot, a fixed-wing commercial pilot. Her name is Letladi Mosena. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself further to you guys and tell you just briefly about who she is and where she's from. Welcome. Take it away.
Thank you. My name is Letladi Mosena. I'm 23 years of age, and I was born and bred in Polokwane, but originally I come from a village called Hamatlala. And I went to high school in Polokwane, Texila Secondary School, and from there I did my training at Rand Airport at Johannesburg School of Flying. That's where I obtained my commercial pilot license.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. You've just spoken about where you did your training. How long did the duration of your training take for you to become a commercial pilot?
Okay, with me it took, I'd say, plus or minus 3 years if I'm excluding the COVID months that we were locked down. But other than that, if I'm adding it, then I'd say 4 years. Because at some point I did have financial problems. So yeah, it took me an average of like 4 years to finish, yeah.
No, I understand the financial problems because it was the same for me. Hence, all the challenges, tally all of it up, it brought me to 10 years. But we're here. All hope is not lost. I also want to just know, what are the challenges you encountered?
The challenges that I've encountered in this journey is that, it's any challenge that any other student would face, you understand? I didn't really have a lot of problems because I feel like I found a group of people that came before me that had other problems and they made me aware of it. So the only challenge that I faced was your normal challenges that everybody faces. So it wasn't anything hectic. It was just, okay, yeah. It wasn't like hectic challenges that I went through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we spoke briefly about what you studied. Can we just go into a bit of detail in terms of what you studied? Maybe some of the licenses you had to acquire, and maybe just briefly some time frames until you got to this point.
Okay, so what I did first when I got to the flight training school, I had to write an exam with the school for me to obtain my SPL so that I can be able to write my private pilot license exams. So with an SPL, what you're going to do is you will write an exam that's going to be given by the school. A pass mark is 75, and then from there you will have to write the 8 exams to obtain your PPL. And after getting your private pilot license, I had to write other 10 exams for me to get my commercial pilot license. And yeah, that's what I had to go through to get my CPL.
Okay. Guys, the licenses that you just broke down now, the same regulator I spoke about earlier, they are also responsible for issuing stuff like pilot licenses, the licenses of air traffic controllers. And while we're speaking about licenses, I think I've got something that might just excite you ladies. Our licenses, the licenses she's speaking about, before they were like little booklets. I'm sure you guys have seen a passport, but it has little pocket sleeves inside. So it's like a little flip file type of a thing that we had to walk around with a lot of different pages every time we have to fly. That's what our license looks like. So on that exciting note, we've switched things up. The CAA has switched things up. Now they've introduced a new card license. It's sort of like your bank card, very compact, mobile, something you can put in your wallet, very easy to use. And in terms of the information that was contained in our licenses before, now they've got a software and it's all pre-programmed in there. But for more information on that, I don't want to elaborate too much, and I'm sure it will bore them. For more information on that, you can find it on the CAA website, which is www.caa.co.za. It will elaborate further who is available to the air traffic controllers as well. You guys also have the card that you can utilize, drone pilots and stuff like that. So just hit them up, go to the website. All the information that you require should be on there. Now, moving right along. We've spoken about the challenges that you had. Generally speaking, what would be the subjects a learner would need to do in school in order to pursue a career as a pilot?
Okay. Generally speaking, I feel that any subject is okay. But once you do mathematics, physics, and geography, it works to your advantage. Like you get to understand a whole lot of things that are happening in aviation, especially if you want to become a pilot. Like your geography is going to help you with your weather, and your mathematics and physical science. It will help you with how a plane works, and it will also help you with how you will have to like calculate your weight and balances for the aircraft. So I think maths and physics together with geography is an advantage. But even if you did other subjects, you can still do it. Yeah.
On average, what's the time frame one is looking at? We spoke about a lot of challenges, COVID and all sorts of other stuff, financial constraints.
Yeah.
Should a learner not maybe experience those? Because there are bursaries now that are available, guys. Actually, because of COVID, some of them have been put on hold, but we are hoping in future they'll be available. The CAA as well. I'm one of the bursary recipients from the South African Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA. So should one not perhaps experience the challenges that you and I have gone through, and they're able to have a seamless journey? What are the time frames we're looking at? Maybe per license, as well as the course in totality.
Okay. Per license, once you've obtained your SPL, which is your student pilot license, you should get an average of like 6 months to finish. And for your private pilot license to get your commercial, you should get an average of like 18 months. So you can finish in 2 years if you do not have any financial problems.
And the hours in terms of the various licenses?
Okay. In terms of the various licenses, actually I came with epaulets so that I can show you guys what they are. And yeah, so in simpler way, I'll explain. So this epaulet is like 1 bar, right? You obtain this once you've went solo. Like you have an SPL, which is your student pilot license. And once you've went solo, this is what you're going to start wearing until you obtain your 45 hours and 15 hours of solo. And then that's when you're going to move to this, which is your private pilot license. With this license, you can't work, you can't do anything. Well, you can fly privately, right? And you can't earn any salary according to the CAA law. And then from here, you will have to obtain 100 hours, which is PIC hours, pilot and command hours, and an average of 200 hours in total. And then you are going to obtain your 3 bars, which is your commercial pilot license. Now, with this license, you're going to be able to earn a salary, whether you're flying someone privately or whether you're going to fly commercially or you're going to be flying for a company. Then you can earn your salary. So, yeah, that's...
Great. She broke that down to you very well, as well as just to add a bit on the SPL, which is the student pilot's license she spoke about. The privilege that you are able to get from that license is it allows you to fly the aircraft alone without an instructor present. Because the thing about flying from day one, you start in the aircraft. You brief in the classroom. Once you understand what's been explained, you move on to the aircraft with your instructor. You start flying from the captain's seat from day one. So you have your SPL. So after about 15 hours, but everybody's different. The level at which we take to grasp is ayithi abanye abantu bayashesha uthola izinto. Kunomuntu omkhombisa into ayithole first time angithi asifani. Then kunomuntu who may take a bit longer. So lo 15 hours siyalinganisa ukuthi more or less. You understand? So asifani. Then what it means is from that moment onwards, the instructor will say you can now go solo. Solo means usuyakhona ukuthatha ibhanoyi on your own, take the aircraft. You fly safely, come back and land the aircraft. We call that going solo. So that you do with the SPL. So I just wanted to clarify that for you guys. Now coming back to you, you told us about the challenges you had. What was your favorite part? What do you love most about aviation?
What I love most about aviation is the traveling part and getting to take the plane and flying by myself and actually doing the flying. Like, the flying that we're doing now in your training, it is the most interesting part in aviation because once you get to go to the airlines or you go to the charter companies, you're flying bigger machines that are actually self-operated. You are just there to like monitor it. So what we're doing right now, it's the actual flying. It's the fun part about it. You get to see everything. You get to like explore and experience the heart of aviation when it comes to flying. Yes.
Wow, wonderful. I hope you guys are learning. I'm learning as well. Moving right along, we're going to move up to our second guest. A beautiful guest here. Gosh, these ladies are gorgeous. That's in the Sibahle ne? Yeah. Hard work pays off. It's true. You know, ungaba muhle, it doesn't mean just because umuhle ungafunda. I think you guys can see. We didn't say siyabukeka ithi siyoba ama-slay queens sidle imali zabantu. We are making our own. So you get me? You're with me? Yeah, mos ungalindi ukutshela umuntu uthi umuhle. Angithi sibuko sakutshela ushilo ubhuti uthi ikhala lakhe sibuko liyamtshela uthi likhulu. Mina sami sithi ngimuhle. Whatever sibuko sakhe sikutshela kona, that's the truth. You know, so don't restrict yourself. Don't limit yourself. You can be a slay queen. Hello, are we not slaying? No, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, inokubekwa with a negative connotation. Which automatically, if you're a slay queen, it means ulandeli imali zabantu. You can slay with your own money.
Yeah.
You can work hard, have your own money, look good. Unyatelek. You know, you get me?
Yeah.
We're good. Actually, okay, moving right along. Our beautiful guest is Kgomoto Mapeto. I hope I said that correctly.
Kgomoto Mapeto.
Okay, I hope you got this, guys. She's an air traffic controller. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please just briefly tell us about yourself, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Kgomoto Mapeto. I am 29 years of age. I'll be turning 30 in the next 2 months. I am an air traffic controller, currently employed at the South African Civil Aviation Authority as a personal licensing inspector for air traffic services. I've obtained my training from ATNS, Air Traffic and Navigation Services Company, and I was born and raised in Ivory Park, where I did my schooling at Eqinisweni Secondary School. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Tell us about your journey bringing you to this point, especially, first, can we start with the subjects one would be required to do while you're at school in order to be able to pursue this line of work?
The prerequisite to become an air traffic controller, you need to have English and Maths level 4. So that's a standard across all boards. If you have that, then you'll be brought into the system. But prior applying to that, I was studying at the University of Johannesburg. I was doing information technology. And thereafter, I saw an advertisement on a local newspaper that they wanted air traffic controllers. And with my marks available, I decided to try in, and that's how I got in level 4.
Okay, that's great. Now, okay, you went through that process. You applied to ATNS,
Yes.
You said. Please just take us briefly through what the training entails.
When you first get accepted into the bursary, because to study at ATNS, you need to be part of a bursary program.
Okay.
So they will accept you, you will do your medical checks, make sure that you don't have any conditions that could be in your way of performing your duties as an air traffic service assistant or an air traffic controller. So you'll first be admitted for the ab initio, which is called core content. That takes about 4 months. Then once you have obtained all the necessary theory training, you'll be sent out to the field for exposure.
Okay.
Exposure normally takes about 2 months, 3 months, depending on how ready you are or when the course is available at the Aviation Academy. Then they'll bring you in for about a month, which is 4 weeks. Then you'll get that assistant rating back to the station for exposure. Now you'll be an assistant to the actual air traffic controller. And then also depending on how far you are in the queue to become an ATC, it will take you about 6-8 months. Then you'll be sent out to do an aerodrome control rating, which is the tower control. If you can look outside the airport, fortunately I was working at this airport just across the runway. There's a tower. And then you'll be placed there to get your training and become a tower controller. So now you are controlling all the traffic movements that are within the vicinity. And then it will take you about another 10 to 12 months. You'll be sent to the next rating, depending on which one you want. Maybe an approach procedural control. Procedural, now you have to use your brain, like the pilot will give you a radial DME, how far they are. You know, you just say, report your position, I'm to the north or to the east. You have to think about it and then, you know, bring them in. Or you can be brought in as an approach radar controller. Now with the radar, you'll be having an assistant of a screen where you can be able to see where the flights are. So that's how you work. So now you are the technical one or the procedural one.
Okay.
So roughly to get to either or of the rating could take you about 24 months to 36 months, depending on where you are in the queue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the training then in totality from the time you're starting until like the point of completion where you are employable,
Yes.
more or less, what's the total time frame?
Employable, you can get employed within 6 months, because if you're accepted as an ETSO-BESA, you do the first 4 months ab initio, the core content, where now you will get employed as a service assistant to the controller.
Okay.
So whatever calls that come into the airport, you're the one that's taking the calls. Or maybe there's a flight coming in, but it's not on flight plan. So they will call you, you will jot it down and pass it to the controller. So you are employable at that time until you are provided an opportunity now to attend a course to become an air traffic controller. Yes.
Okay. Wow, it's great. And you said it's a bursary program. It covers everything.
Yes, it covers everything, your transportation, your lodges. You also get a stipend. They take you to and fro from the lodge back to the school. Weekends you're there, you get monthly allowance. So you're sorted. All you have to do, the one thing that bulayang bana bako locationing, as soon as you get out of school, and then you get all this money coming in left and right. You forget, they said you must study and you must give us 70%. That's all we want. They give you 12 subjects. You will write an exam every week or every 2 weeks, but give us 70%. Then at the month end, what must you do? You must study. That's what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. And since it's a bursary, I'm sure there's a prerequisite requirements as far as performance from high school.
Yes.
In terms of subjects and benchmark results that they would want. What are those?
As I've mentioned previously, is that they want level 4 maths and English. So you will register your CV on Career Junction under the ATNS carriers.
Okay.
Then once they are ready to bring in new intake, then they will look at the system. Then you'll be called in. Then once you are called in, you will come in to write psychometric tests. Now it's all about your timing, your language, your presentation, how you conduct yourself. So those things actually play into a role of becoming the future air traffic controller. So once you have passed that stage, the psychometric tests, and they say, okay, Kumujo, you're in. Okay, what is the next step? You need to go to a medical center. Now we need to check if you're fine to work the job. Then roll a sample thing, they assign you to a lodge, and then say,
actually, just to add on to what she just said, for pilot training as well, with our bursary programs, we also have a prerequisite, especially if you're going to need funding, where it's advisable for you to have maths, science, English, because you're going to have to do an English proficiency test.
Yes.
I believe it's level 5?
Level 6.
Level
That's
6.
when you... Oh, you mean the subject?
The subjects.
Yeah,
at
the
school.
subjects. Minimum is level 5.
Minimum is level 5. Hey guys, I'm old. My time I don't have these levels. I'm older than I look. So yes, we're going to have that prerequisite, the English, the science, and the maths.
Yeah.
Pure maths, not mathlets. What? Math lit.
Literacy.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Yeah.
Pure maths, that's the one they want. As well as the medical. So guys, it's important to take care of yourself, health-wise. That weed, earlier, it's not going to work. The cigarettes, what you smoke in secret, somehow is over. You know, all of a sudden you're passionate, you want to be a pilot. All the wrong things you did, all of a sudden, they are now a stumbling block in your journey. So just be careful about the decisions and the things you do now, because they will affect you tomorrow. It might not seem like it now, but chances are it will. And also, I was also in a bursary program. I don't know if you were part of one as well.
Yeah, I was sponsored by Tita. Yeah.
So another thing, guys, I did say we don't have to go chasing after people's money. Kumunati, from the onset, she did say, even though it's the same with our program, they'll pay for your accommodation. The nice thing with us, though, like, listen here, what happens is, when you start your training, you get that SPL. After you go solo, now this is where life starts getting interesting. You've got 15 hours that you need to complete all on your own. You take an aircraft. Now it's without an instructor on board. It's you building these hours. We go to a place called the General Flying Area. You do circuit training where you're practicing your landings around the airport. You go on a long navigational flight and a short navigational flight. You're flying all on your own. And then that's when you get what we call a PPL, your private pilot's license. After PPL, it gets even more interesting. Guess what? Now you can take your mom, your friends, your family, everyone. And the CAA, in my case, was paying for it. Imagine, I can go from here to Sun City. Plus, I've got a stipend as well. That's why she was saying that as much as the money's coming in, but don't forget why you are actually there.
Yeah.
You're there to study. Though it's exciting. Imagine just you and your mom or your family flying somewhere and someone else is paying for it. Isn't that exciting? It was very exciting for me. I didn't need to go get our CAA is there, you know? They were there to do those things for me, so life was good. These are the opportunities that you guys have. That youth, Eskulmangaya 1976, they didn't have that. So do you see the opportunities I'm talking about that you guys need to take, that you have at your disposal? Taking someone's hope, a plane, guys. A plane, not a car, not Askumkavrpa. You know? Skulma, hey, we're talking engines here that fly in the sky. Proper. I said we're taking it to flight levels, not levels. Flight levels. Up there, you know? So, guys, these are opportunities you've got. Don't play with them. Take it seriously. So, at PPL, now suddenly you've got 100 hours to play. Anywhere. In my time, when I started flying, you could take the aircraft anywhere in Africa. Nowadays, I think it's just around the country most of the time. They can still take it to Africa. Yeah. I know some flight schools don't allow students to go beyond South African borders.
Yeah.
Still, you, friends, family, CAA will give you money for pocket money. Life is good. So those are the privileges you get to enjoy for a whole 100 hours. Can you see how interesting this is? The opportunities you have, they're great. Now, coming back to you, what are the challenges that you experience?
On our side, I can say for most people the challenge is when you wait so long to go on course, especially because now with the whole COVID thing happening, there can only be so many courses available per year. And for each course, the minimum is 4 to 6 learners. So you can imagine that if you are number 20 or number 25, then you'll have to wait probably another 8 months or so to go on course. But either way, at the end of the day, your goal will be reached. And the longer you stay in the field, I've always told my peers that the longer you stay in the field, it's better because the exposure that you have, once you start doing the practical, you already know what you're about to say. The language is there, your confidence, you've already built an air traffic control persona as soon as you grab your mic and you plug in. Yes.
And I love that because I'm picking up some similarities. With us as well, you have to undergo an English proficiency test. They want to see that you can speak English. But I just want to emphasize this. I don't want it to intimidate you. You know, you need to. It's not our language, you know. But if we are Konogus Kuluma, they usually want level 6.
Not really. Like level 6 is okay. You never have to test again. But then if you get like a level 5, they're going to give you certain years to come test again for your English proficiency, like your level 3. I think your minimum is, I'm not sure. I think it's either
4.
3, it's level 4.
3 is for cabin crew. And then level 4 starts with air traffic control.
Yeah.
So you can get in with level 4 for ATC.
Yeah.
So it sounds intimidating, but it's actually not as difficult. It's doable. And she mentioned 70% for air traffic controllers. Our pass marks while we're writing exams as pilots, it's 75%. In my time, when I started writing the exams, you would get 74.9. Guess what? That's a fail. They don't round it up. 74.9, that's a fail. They want 75% and above. But then again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be honest with you. In school, in high school, I was not that super intelligent kid. That was not me. But when I came to aviation and I started writing the subjects here, I excelled. Gang told 100%, you get the exam in less than 10 minutes, and I'll be sitting there like, huh? It's me? The same me in school that was not that student that was getting your 80s and 90s. Okay, sometimes, but not all the time. What I'm trying to say is I was not that super intelligent learner. But when I got you, it doesn't mean just because right now you're not an A student in maths and science, you can't be when you get here. Aviation has its own maths and science. It makes it easier to understand if you've got that background, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. It's doable. You can do it. If I could do it, you know? I'm originally from Durban, like I said, south of Durban. So angizange ngibe ingane ekhula ngesilungu throughout my life, but ngikhonile. So if I could manage, so can you. I just want that to sink in, Wuti. It's attainable. Don't let these huge percentages intimidate you, but provided you put in the work. Like she said, imali yangena. So don't let that go to your head. Ngiphethe imali. Ukhohlwe ukuthi uzowenzani. Always have that in mind. Always have the goal in sight. That's where I'm going. Angifuni vrpa. Ngifuni engineer Rolls Royce. Not vrpa. Loke ngisayibona la. Ngiyawuza umsindo but ngisakubona la. Hayi khona ngifuna izoduma sihamba. Ngifuna idume manje in seconds angisayiboni phambi kwami. Angithi angizwa manje ngiyabhodla iV12. Ngishaka engineer Rolls Royce. I'm not your typical. Why am I saying this? I love interacting with you guys. They spoke about a recent incident. Kids are killing themselves. Don't. You are unique. That's my uniqueness. V12. That's what makes me different. In school, mankula, people used to make fun of that. You know what? When I stand in the mirror, when I walk tall, that's what sets me apart from you. When I say hello, mangiti sunborn. We are turned out zongibheka. Namang. Exactly. But what did I do? I embraced who I am. Regardless of what the next person says to you. Be comfortable in who you are. Are we clear? Moving back to my guess. I just wanted to get that across. What do you love most about your job? But actually, before you tell me that, quickly paint a picture for me. What does an average day in the life of an air traffic controller look like? What do you do?
Let me just make a practical example. So I'm working a 5 a.m. shift today at Lanseria. You'll wake up, then you'll get ready. Remember, there'll be another colleague of yours who's working the previous shift. Like we've got different shifts. So there'll be a night shift that's on position. So you'll have to get to work on time in order to relieve your colleague. So you will get to the tower. You're issued with one of these. So this is a headset. So you will plug in just like a minute or two before you take over. Then your colleague will give you a handover of what's happening right now at the airport. So they will paint a picture. Okay, we've got Comair for 5-2 at the bay, ready for start. We've got another one coming inbound. We've got 2 trainers and all of that. And then once you are comfortable with taking over from your colleague, then you start working. Then it happens just like that. Inbound, Comair, ready for start, copied, push back, start is approved, face to the east. When he's ready for taxi, you give him instruction, he goes to the holding point. There's another one landing, you give him clearance, clear to land. You know, you just continue working. It's just like a nice ball that's going on. And then once you've worked enough hours, because we do have regulations as per the CAA, where you're not allowed to work for more than 3 to 4 hours. So within 3 hours, then you'll get a break, like an hour or so, and then regroup, then go back again, the same thing, you'll plug in, get a handover, then you start working until the end of your shift. So if you start at 5:30, you'll end at 12. If you start at 12, you end at 7, or night shift. Either way, depending on the shift that you were placed on the roster that day. But the nice thing about air traffic control is that as soon as you knock off, you've knocked off. You don't take work home. You don't have any paperwork to catch up with. Unless otherwise there was a file that you have to file, and then maybe you forgot to put in the time, or rather the registration. They will call in just to confirm that. Other than that, your shift is over. And
no
that's
homework.
Your life. Yeah.
When you're done, you're done.
You're done.
Shaisili.
Yeah.
So bonana kusasa. And
Yes.
so what's the favorite part? Your favorite part about your job?
I feel like with air traffic control, you are your own piece in the puzzle. You have your own role to play. And as you grow older into the profession, you also get more experience, meaning that whoever comes behind you, you will carry that person. You give them information. We're not jealous of each other. If you know, I know. Because if you mess up something in the tower or in the airport, everybody within South Africa is affected. So we have several roles that we are playing. So it's very important that you are aware of who you are. You always have self-awareness and you are disciplined in what you're doing. So air traffic control, for me, it's the discipline and the passion that we share amongst each other as Yellow Book holders.
I go by the name Chantal Topsilengwe. I'm from Aviation Independent School. And obviously, my question for today is, since there's unforeseen occurrences like the COVID-19 that has took over, isn't that a disadvantage on flying some airports, some airlines, because there are trips that have been closed and all that. So isn't that a disadvantage to your pilots on traveling and things like that?
Okay. With us right now, I know COVID has really hit very hard, right? There's a lot of pilots that are sitting at home because they have to work according to how many trips they're going to have in that day. And also in terms of job opportunities as well, it has really cut deep through the industry, especially when it comes to pilots, because there's a lot of companies that closed down because of finances. They couldn't maintain what they had to maintain throughout the whole of COVID, because people were not traveling, how SACAA had stopped with their bursaries as well. That has also impacted the aviation industry. COVID has really impacted, but I think it's getting better now. Yeah.
Okay, just to add on to that, yes, the industry has been hit hard, but we are hoping COVID won't last forever. It's a work in progress. It might be the new normal, but at some point, I've got no doubt the industry will pick up. So the point is, I'm trying to get across is, don't get rid of your passion or your dream. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary situations. COVID is a temporary situation. So you don't want to make a permanent decision based on that, something that may change tomorrow. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? Please, come through.
Good day, my name is Christina Singh and I'm from Princess Ngwana's Specialization. What I heard from your guys' speeches, I heard that they check medical, you as a person, how are you, I don't know, the sicknesses that you have as a person. So if you have an eye problem for a pilot, is that a disadvantage?
Do you want to take?
Yeah. Having an eye problem is not a problem. Isn't it? You can correct it. So you're just going to go to the optometrist, a certified medical eye tester, and then they're going to give you corrective lenses. And if you can still pass your medical with corrective lenses, and you can still be a pilot wearing glasses.
Can I just quickly add something to that as well? On that subject, it depends what your eye problem is. If you are colorblind, but the good thing is you'll do your medical as soon as possible while you're starting your training, so that they are able to determine if you're colorblind or not. Because if you are, that is the end of the road. It can't go any further. But if you're either short-sighted or otherwise, then that can be corrected with with glasses or contact lenses.
Seeing that the world is moving to the fourth industrial revolution, is it possible for aeroplanes to fly for themselves? Isn't that going to be a disadvantage for most pilots if they have these aircraft actually can fly for themselves?
Do you want to take that or should I?
You can.
Yes, at this point, we could be moving in that direction. It is indicating that, but it looks like it's not in the near future. We do have drones. I don't know if you know about drones. So at the moment, drones are operational, which are manned. You actually need a pilot to fly drones. In fact, right now, because of COVID, a lot of the fixed-wing pilots that we have actually started flying drones because there's a huge demand for drone pilots right now. So they've moved into that sector. So it will probably take us a while before we get there. So you're going to need us for a while. We're here to stay for now. All right, sure.
I think just to add something as well on the eye correction, for air traffic controllers as well, if you are colorblind, you will not be accepted. But with the corrective lenses and all of that, it also just appears on your licenses to say that you should have an extra pair of lenses.
Yes.
If you are wearing lenses, should the SACAA come to your station to inspect or to have an audit, and then they happen to pull out your license and they see that you've got an eye problem, and it does state that you need to have a second pair of glasses.
Yes.
So it works both ways.
The same is applicable to us as well. At all times, if you do wear glasses, you can't just go flying with that one pair. At all times, you must have two pairs. So basically, you need to have a backup. Should something happen to the one you're wearing, you've got another one that you can make use of. So the same is applicable with pilots as well. Okay, thank you very much. Do we have one last question? Are we good? It seems we are good. I'm going to bring it back to my panel. Ladies, just before we close, we're not really closing, but we're closing this segment because, like we said, today's episode is going to be broken up into 2 episodes. So I just want a quick one from each of you. A word of encouragement, or rather, what does Youth Month or Youth Day mean to each of you? Just very brief.
Okay. Youth Month is very important to me because it makes me realize how, especially looking at our parents, like it makes me realize how they were closed into having choices. Like once they were done with school, most of our parents are teachers, policemen. Like it's not a diversity of careers.
Yes.
Those that are doctors, they're the privileged ones, I guess, or they had more knowledge about it. But looking at them, now we have a choice. Like you have a choice to be what you want to be. And my advice to you guys is that don't take advantage of that. You must run your race also. Everything has its own time. Whether somebody's graduating before you and you pass matric with them, it's not a problem. You never know. Maybe you might find them or be ahead of them at some point in life. You understand? So with me, don't be discouraged by your peers and never compare yourself with anyone. Don't compete with anybody. You're yourself. You can never be the next person. So yeah, you must run your race, but remember to stay focused. Stay focused so that you can obtain your end goal.
Great words of wisdom. I hope you're learning, guys.
For me, what the Youth Month means, it clearly shows that the youth of 1976 acted selflessly out of love because they wanted us to be the greater of who they were.
Yes.
So because of who they were, we are who we are today.
Yes.
And we shouldn't take that for granted. And what I would like for each and everyone to take home today is that never let anybody's limitations of you become your reality. Thoughts become things. So if you think positive and you think of yourself as this person, you will become that person. So stay positive.
Wow, even I'm inspired. I hope you guys are learning. I hope you're taking something from this. Honestly, those are great words of wisdom. I'm blown away. I'm speechless. That doesn't happen often. So just as we wrap up this segment, guys, I hope you're realizing just how fortunate you are. Lent njenge race. The youth of 1976 ran. Angazi noma niyanibone mangabe kujinywa nePeyton. Ukuthi omunye ufika gijime naye ayidlulisele omunye. Ngebhadi leCovid, I'm sure anisazenzi lezi zinto. You pass it on to the next person. Umsebenzi wakhe is to run with that Peyton and take it forward. In 1976, they did. They didn't just do that. They did it and lost their lives. The likes of Hector Peterson. So that we can take the Peyton and run with it. I ran with mine for 10 years. What am I doing? I'm passing it on to you. What is the SACAA doing? They are passing you the same Peyton. But should you run with it for 10 years? No. They've made it easier. Take your Peyton. Run with it. stay focused. You'll do it. And in less time. The sky is not the limit. The sky is our playground. UV12. Shangintini Rolls-Royce. Uzandi Lumandle. Welcome back to the second segment of Career TV. Still proudly brought to you by the South African Civil Aviation Authority. I'm still your host, Zandi Lendlela, and we are back for our second round with our panel. I just want to say and emphasize that, like I said, this is not our normal standard show, the way we usually do it. What makes this one even extra special, we are coming to you from Lanseria Airport. That's where we are broadcasting from, because we wanted to introduce our special guests to the environment of being in an airport where we would normally operate as aviators. So, yeah, do stay with us. Let's take it back to our guests. Welcome, ladies, once again. You ready for me?
Yeah.
We're going to have some fun. Please just briefly introduce to the ladies who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Kiaubita Butilo. I was born and bred in a village called Butito near Kuruman in the Northern Cape province. And I also went to high school at another village close by, which is called Bendel. And the high school is Itloteng Commercial High School. And that's where my passion started, when the South African Civil Aviation Authority visited our school on a setup like this one. And that's where I kept following up with the information and until I got where I am today.
And where are you today? What is your current job title?
I'm an aircraft maintenance engineer at FlySafe at OR Tambo International Airport.
Wow, that's amazing, guys. These people mean the world to us, literally. You're about to realize why. Let's just get into it from the foundation phases. As far as what subjects did you need to do in school in order to pursue this line of work as an aviator?
I did mathematics, pure mathematics, physical science, and English.
Okay.
So all the subjects had to be 60% and above.
Okay. And where did you then pursue your studies?
I went to study at Denel Technical Academy, which is based in Kempton Park, near OR Tambo International Airport.
Was it financed? Is it a bursary program? How does it work?
It was financed. I was a bursary holder of the South African Civil Aviation Authority, which made things a bit easier for me.
What was that process in terms of the application, getting the bursary? What did that entail? Where did you find that information? What were the requirements in order to qualify for the bursary?
As I've mentioned, that the SACAA visited our school, and that time I was in grade 11.
Okay.
So I kept following up for information on their social media pages as well for the updates on the applications for the bursary, and then until 2016 when I was in my matric. And then I did apply for the CAA, and in my case, when I applied for the CAA, they actually also looked for the school for me. So, and then
wow.
That's how. And then I had to if you are able to finance yourself, you can enroll with your mathematics with 60% and above, but most of the bursaries, they require you to have 70% and above for the finances.
I love what you just said. Guys, we're still commemorating this month. I just want to just tap into what you just said now. Do you realize she had a similar opportunity that you have right now? She took it. Do you see where she is now? It comes back to running, taking the baton and running with it. So if somebody, for example, then would not pursue it in that manner where the CAA is not there or has not visited their school and they want to pursue the same line of work, how do they then apply into the training institution?
You can actually check into their social media platforms. As I mentioned, that's where most of the time you can get your updates on the bursary, on the application dates and so on. Okay. So you can actually apply directly to the institution, and then they will give you all the information about finances and everything else.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And then let's get into the training part. Let's briefly just break it down in terms of now you've been absorbed into the program. I don't know, maybe you were subjected to psychometrics, I don't know. Let's start them from the intake point up until the end of your training. What did you have to go through in order to be successful and commence your training, and how that went? Just a brief breakdown of that.
Okay, as I've mentioned, I went to study in Denel Technical Academy, which is based in Kempton Park. There, that's where you are theoretically trained. That's where you are taught about the aircraft systems, and that's where they give you a view how everything is and how everything works. That's probably takes 10 months, that theoretical training. So you can maybe summarize that into maybe a first year. And then after that, you have to be placed at an airline company where you can practically do your maintenance and be taught safety around the aircraft and the aircraft systems and everything else. That probably takes 1 year and 6 months, because the TITA requirements for you to qualify for the exams is 2,800 hours. So you can probably, that can be around 1 year and 6 months.
Okay.
And then I went to write my exams, and then I qualified.
Okay. I think here's a slight oversight on my part. I'm sure they are wondering exactly what your job entails. Let's tell them, what is it exactly that you do?
Okay. My responsibility is to make sure that before the aircraft takes off, it's airworthy. Airworthy meaning it's safe to fly with everyone on board. And my main responsibility is to repair and to service the aircraft engine and its components.
I did say, guys, that we're not just doing levels. We're doing flight levels. Now, flight levels means I'm not going to take off with an aircraft that's faulty. It can't go cling, cling, cling. I park on the side of the road. It doesn't work that way. It needs to be declared airworthy on the ground. Somebody needs to check it, put it in writing that they've checked, everything is safe for me to fly this aircraft. Because should anything happen up there, I'm not going to park and hop on a cloud and say, we've got a problem. Come through, we need your help. No, we don't take problems to the sky. We fix problems on the ground before you take the aircraft. So those are the flight levels I'm talking about. And I'm about to ask her now, in terms of the marks, the pass mark and the requirements, because I think you can see that they're not very low, but it's because of the safety element that is a big factor with aviation. I hope you're realizing that. It's human life here, so we can't afford to gamble. We can't say 50% is sufficient, because 50% kind of indicates you know half of what you're doing. Now, how comfortable would you be with me or her working on an aircraft, fixing it, knowing half of what she's doing? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I kind of know I'm going to press here, there, but I'm not sure there. But we'll figure it out. Would you be comfortable with me as a pilot doing that? No. You want to know I know what I'm doing. You want to know she knows, the person who's fixing that aircraft or checking it knows what she's doing. So that's why I'm going to bring it back to her and ask her, what is the pass mark on that?
All the exams from the start to the end until you qualify, you should get more than 75%. Lower than that, it's a fail.
So still 75.
75 and above.
Okay, from now you completing your training, how does now one go about securing employment? You were on a bursary program, so did that mean you were automatically then provided for as far as employment is concerned, or did you have to find yourself an internship? What was that process like?
Because now I was on that 1 year and 6 month training, I think that's where you must be really able to show your capability. And that's how I actually got employed, but I didn't struggle. I think I was just looking for a job for like 1 month, and I got something which was permanently until today.
Wow, that's wonderful. Wow. Now, I just want to come back to what you mentioned earlier. How did this bug bite you? Because I know aviation is an incurable disease. It's a bug. Once it bites, there's no escaping it. So what do you love most about it?
It changed how I actually looked or I thought about myself. Because as I mentioned, that I'm coming from a village. Airports are very, very far. And you wouldn't even see the plane. You will just hear the sound, but you wouldn't even see it or something like that. So me being there, fixing that big machine, it changed how I looked at myself. I could also realize that, I am capable. And one thing that I love the most is it's a challenge, but I also love it. Safety of everyone being in my hands. I'm currently working on the Boeing 737s.
Nice.
So I'm talking about more than 165 passengers' lives in my hands. So seeing the aircraft that I've just fixed, taking off and coming back still airworthy, oh my God, that's a very nice feeling.
Wow, wonderful. And guys, you keep hearing this airworthiness term coming up. It still comes back to the regulator who's behind the show. They are there it's part of that compliance we're talking about, to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to. When she signs down that she has fixed it and it's airworthy, the CAA is there to ensure that they really are doing what they're supposed to. So like I said, they're like your metro police to make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to. And like I said, hey, Jojo, like I said, because lives would be at stake. So can you imagine something like that? So they have to be strict and monitor, ensure that safety and security, and make sure that all flights are executed safely. Now, in this journey, coming back to you, what has been your biggest challenge?
To be honest, I didn't have much challenges because now I had CAA. I had the bursary, and it made things a lot easier for me. So the only challenge that I had, it was to adapt to the environment and to be able to work around, because now most of the things were new to me, adapting to the environment, practicing safety, and working under pressure as well. I forgot to mention that. You have to be really able to work under pressure.
Okay, I love that. Now, I just want to understand too, the learner who's sitting in our audience, thinking, could I be good at this? What type of personality do I need to have in order to do what you do? Do I have what it takes? Sometimes as people looking at our background, like I said, we're commemorating Youth Month. It goes back to that. We come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. Sometimes we get to the city, you have a dream, it can get overwhelming at times, you can be scared. Can I really do this? Do I have what it takes? What can you say to the learner that's sitting out there? What type of personality do you think one needs in order to do the type of job you're doing? And words of encouragement. You come from a village, Komahai, Uyenzile. Talk to them, encourage them, please.
You should really be a patient person, and you should really be able to focus, and you should be able to work under pressure. As Zandile have mentioned, given the history of South Africa in 1976, I think the youth of that time, they paved a way for us to conquer, to achieve great things, and to become limitless when we dream. Looking back in the days, most of us thought that this engineering field is specifically for men. But seeing young girls like me conquering in this field, it's inspiring. So, if you are given a chance, spread your wings and fly even higher. Don't even look back. Thank you.
Wow. I couldn't have said it better, guys. I don't know. If that didn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. I'm going to move on to our next guest. Beautiful. Oh gosh, these ladies are beautiful. Guys, can you see? You can be everything, Moss. You can have the looks, the praise, the career, the money. We want money, I want money. I don't know about you guys, but I want money. But obviously, we're not saying come and pursue them because you want the money. The money should be secondary. I always say to people, in fact, even now, when we had an opportunity to engage, you guys asked me, how was I able to keep pushing for 10 years? the only thing that sustained me was passion. Passion, passion, passion. If you love something, it doesn't feel like work. When I take off, even if I had problems at home, watching the world from a bird's eye view, I can't even describe to you what that feels like. You're like, wow, the world is beautiful. Traveling, seeing different places, going to bed in a different province or in a different country. It's amazing. It's different experiences, it's different people. I can't begin to tell you how wonderful that feels like. And for me, it's the passion. When I always say, when you love something, you never have to work a day in your life. You're not going to be these grumpy people. We all know, sometimes you go to a government hospital, you know what I'm talking about. Why? Because sometimes it goes back to Linda say Shoy. They were not privileged enough to do what they loved. It's all they had with Nance. It was about nurse, it was about poisa, it was about teacher. The options weren't as vast as they are now. They didn't have the opportunities. So ngithanda about nurse, sekufanele ngijove when angithandi isimo. That's why sometimes abanye ngabahlale bekwati. You know, ngifosekile things obala angifuni. But when I have to fly in the morning, even if at 3, you tap me, I'm asleep and you say, go fly. I jump out of bed because it's something I'm looking forward to. What is that? That's passion. I love it. That's why for 10 years, despite the challenges, I pushed. I knocked on doors because I'm knocking for something I love. That will sustain me. But if you're coming for money, when the challenges come, because let's be honest, as with any industry, it has its own fair share of challenges. It will never be smooth sailing, but passion will sustain you. You will push, you will conquer. But if you're not passionate, you will quit. And if you quit, my dad used to say, quitters never win and winners never quit. Let that stay in your mind. You can't quit and expect to win. Now I'm going to go back to our next guest. Beautiful, beautiful lady. I'm just going to give you the platform. Please introduce yourself. She's an aeronautical engineer. I'm going to give you the platform to talk to them. Who are you? Where do you come from? And where did your passion start?
I'm Puselezo Maseko, and I grew up in Mamelodi, right here in Pitori. I went to Woolwich High School, and then from there I went to WITS, where I actually obtained a BSc in Aeronautical Engineering, as well as a Master's of Science in Engineering. I am currently a PhD candidate doing a research project on urban air mobility. My background in terms of working experience, I started off as a junior engineer at a company called Advanced Technologies and Engineering, and then I went to Denal. I'm sure most of us know about Denal, where I was doing research and development into unmanned aerial vehicles, so those are drones. And I was basically designing a controller in the event that, let's say you don't have a pilot on board, then the controller takes over. So the aircraft actually flies on its own.
So that was your journey, bring us here. Let's take it back, tad bit going backwards. High school, the requirements in order to pursue your field of work, subjects, the benchmarks. I don't know whether was it through a bursary program or not. So please, can you just get into that? What are the subjects? What are the requirements as far as percentages or levels that are required?
Okay, I'll do percentages.
Okay.
So in matric, you had to have a minimum of 60% for maths, science, and English. Initially, when I started, I didn't have a bursary. Only when I was in second year, this company that I had mentioned, ATE, came in, and they were looking for black boys and girls to offer them bursaries. I applied, which was actually advantageous for us because while you're studying, right, in your second year, you have to do training at the company, so that as you're doing your theory, you're also doing a bit of practical training. So that was really, it helped me quite a bit. And then for the bursary itself, obviously you have to have good marks because they're not going to accept you. I mean, like, you're competing against so many other pupils, so you have to make sure that you are achieving good results.
Okay. No, wonderful. I love that. Guys, I hope you can see the opportunities that are out there. More bursaries that are open for you guys to apply for. Now, once you had started the program in totality, how many years, or are they subjects? How is it structured? Is it theory, then practical? How is the training structured?
Okay, in order to do aeronautical engineering, you have to go to an accredited undergraduate university. And in this case, it was WITS, because it's the only one that offers this undergraduate degree. So initially, it's a 4-year degree. But then when you're in your second year, what they do advise you during the holidays is that go to a company so that you can gain that exposure, that practical part to aeronautical engineering. And you also have to do that also when you're like in your third year. So after your fourth year, when you've graduated, then you have to go for now this is like proper training for about 18 to 36 months. So either then you're going to be called an engineer in training or you're going to be called a junior engineer. And once you have covered that training, then you could call yourself an aeronautical engineer, and you can also register with SACAA. It's basically, it regulates engineers.
Okay.
Yeah, professional engineers.
Okay. And then from there, after you've completed your training, as far as securing employment is concerned, what is that journey like? Does one then need to pursue stuff like internships, or can you just go straight and start applying for employment? And what type of companies do you apply to in order to secure employment? What was that process like for you?
So, lucky enough, because later on in my studies, I had gotten a bursary. I got employment immediately after graduating. So for me, it wasn't hard. But if you do not have a bursary, all you have to do is apply. And as an aeronautical engineer, because you're designing, developing, modifying components and systems of an aircraft, so you basically do not work physically on the aircraft, but you're actually designing it. So you could say the brain or you're the innovator behind the aircraft itself. So you're literally behind a desk on your laptop creating this awesome machine.
We've heard the different percentages of the various aviation professionals. What was the pass mark or the requirement at first during your course of training as far as the subjects and stuff are concerned? Were they as high as what we've seen so far, or a bit lenient?
No, they were a bit lenient, because when you, I remember back in the day at university, it was not easy. 8 o'clock, you start in the morning. 5 o'clock, that's when your last class ends. And remember, on top of that, you still have assignments. You still have projects. You're writing tests every single week. So it's it's a tough course. I won't lie to anyone. It's quite intense. You have to be involved. You have to be disciplined. You have to make sure that, Monadwako University, don't allow it to get into your head. Focus, say, or you know what, I'm going to focus on my degree. And Monadwako after getting my degree, because when you're spending your own money, guys, you don't have to ask anybody for money. You can just take out your card and swipe, and you'll still have fun. That's what my mother always said.
Indeed. I love that. I love what you just said. Very woman and appeal. In terms of personality, what do you think would be the suitable characteristics, maybe to do well in this line of work?
Personally, I don't think I would say anybody can do it. That's what I believe, right? I just think you just need to be disciplined. You need to be focused, because it's not going to be easy. There are going to be times when you feel like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just too tired. I cannot study for that test, or I cannot get up and do this assignment. So you have to be disciplined. You have to think about what you're trying to achieve. But anybody can do it. And don't listen to that negative voice saying, I cannot. That voice is lying to you, I can tell you now. So just replace that negative voice with a positive one saying, you can do it. You can achieve so much more in life.
Wow, I love that. Because truthfully speaking, guys, that voice does set in. We're not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you it was smooth sailing all the time. It won't. I think each and every one of us here can attest to having a moment, at least at some point or another, where you feel like, I can't do this. Am I strong enough to do this? Is this for me? Yes, it is. If not you, then it's for who? If not you, then who? You can. So you just have to find that inner strength to defy that voice and say, yes, I can. Yes, it's difficult, but every situation will pass. Change is the only constant in life. So this too shall pass. So I just love what you just said there. Quickly, what has been the best part of your profession for you? What's your favorite?
The best part, I would say, like being able to innovate, you know. I'm like, technology, I'm like, we're now in the 4th industrial revolution, as you all know, you know. So I'm just going to talk a bit more about my PhD and what I'm doing. So I'm looking at urban air mobility, which is basically flying cars, you know. So you won't be, so in the future, you won't be driving in your car on the ground. You'll be flying it. And to take it to the next level, the sort of aircraft or these flying cars that are being designed, you won't need a pilot or a driver behind them. They'll be flying themselves. So now all you have to do is sit down and relax and allow them to fly you wherever you go. So innovation for me, I think that's the biggest or the most interesting part of what I do.
I didn't like that because it's like you're trying to get rid of us. I don't know if it's personal. I'm not so keen on that one, just saying. But anyway, we'll figure it out. And what has been your biggest challenge to date?
I think my biggest challenge career-wise, the aviation industry is quite small in our country, as we all know, you know. So opportunities can be quite limited at times. I largely received my training from Denal. And now, if you read the newspapers, Denal is going through financial difficulties.
Yes.
And Denal designed the Roy Falk helicopter. They designed and manufactured it. So let's say now you're a young graduate aeronautical engineer and you're looking for industry experience. Where are they going to get such design and manufacturing experience now? So I guess now maybe it's up to us now who are currently in this field to actually create opportunities for the ones that are coming. But then the aviation industry is quite capital intensive. So you need a government that's going to actually back you up funding-wise. But then you actually think and you look at Denal, such a strategic entity, and it seems as if the government might not even bail them out. So I would say for a young aeronautical engineer, they might have to set their sights overseas with the likes of Airbus and Boeing. So that's the other nice thing. If you're going to study at VERTS, your degree is recognized internationally, so you'll be able to work for your Airbus, your Boeing, and your NASA.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to give the learners an opportunity maybe to ask some questions to the ladies before we wrap up. Do we have any questions? Please come through and let us know who you are and from which school you come from. Yay, we have a gentleman. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Ndulu. I'm from High School. My question is for our aircraft maintenance engineer. I'd like to ask, how do you deal with the pressure, knowing that 165 lives depend on you to reach that destination? Like one mistake you do can cost their lives. How do you deal with the pressure?
As I've mentioned, you really have to focus. You have to focus, and as she have mentioned, you have to be disciplined. So I think you being disciplined and focused, you can really work around that pressure and be able to do what you are really supposed to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have another question? Please come through.
My name is Fiona Blazer and I'm from Bulelong Secondary School. So my question comes from piloting professions. Is there any height restriction for a person to be a pilot? And can you work in order to fund your training if you cannot get a bursary?
Work in terms of doing what?
Like get a job aside in order to pay for you.
So like train part-time. Okay.
Oh yes.
I get your question.
You can train part-time so that you can be able to fund yourself. And then in terms of height restrictions, that's where the importance of a medical certificate comes in. So when you're doing your medical tests, they're going to check your height with regards to your weight. And then they'll either tell you what to do in terms of if you're tall enough, then obviously you will obtain your medicals. But if you're too short, unfortunately, also with companies, it depends what companies that you're going to work at. They require a certain height. Yeah.
I'd just like to add to that. yes, she's quite right about the ratio of the weight to height, which is what we call your body mass index, and they'll advise you accordingly, as well as the height issue. I know I battled with this one when I was in school because everyone would tell me I'm too short to be a pilot. There's cushions. We fly with cushions sometimes. If I'm not tall enough, you'll find a whole bunch of us going to the aircraft with our cushions. And again, thanks to technology and innovation, the seats are adjustable. So yes, there are height restrictions, but they are not as strict as they used to be because there are always ways to get around the height situation. Thanks. Do we have another question?
Two at the
Gentleman.
back.
My name is Ginas from Roosevelt Technical High School. I wanted to ask a question for the aircraft maintenance. Since I'm doing mechanical engineering and technical science and pure maths, is technical science a problem?
No, it's not a problem. You can go through with technical science. It's not a problem at all. It's supposed to be 60% and above. Thank you.
Okay. I saw a hand at the back. Please come through.
Hello.
You think?
Like more aviation career aids and like more on science, like with like the calculations that they and all that.
Can I take that one?
Please take the.
So that's aeronautical engineering. So, for example, when you design an aircraft, it's not just a drawing. You have to sit down, you have your laws, for example, Newton's laws, just to make an example. Because you want this thing to fly, you don't want gravity to pull it down. So there are subjects like flight dynamics, there's aerodynamics, you have aircraft structures, so there's fluids. So that's where the science comes in, where you actually sit down and do your calculations. So it's a balance of maths, where maths gives you the tool to come with a solution, and then you apply the physics or the science to get this thing to fly.
Organic thing.
Ini?
Organic chemistry, like.
So actually, yeah, go first. Yeah, so go. The subjects are first. They're actually quite broad. So you do find you do find chemistry, physics, mechanics, technical drawing, and like I had not done it with Kolomara. It was the first time doing it there.
So like compulsory with the technical drawing.
Go first, yeah. Yes, you have to. So, no, somebody. Na first year ne. I write technical drawing ever. So it was the first time I did a technical drawing ne. And you only do it for 6 months, and then the rest of the year, first year, actually you do drawing on a software because in this day and age you don't do things physically. It's computer programs, so you do everything via computers. So it's only 6 months. Yeah.
But it goes back to into Benglumanga earlier, Wuti. Some of these things, when you hear them, they intimidate you. But once you're there, it might be a different story. Like, listen, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Chemistry wasn't one of my favorite subjects in school. Even science, but I loved the science I came across in flying. Newton's laws. Now I'll sing Newton's laws in my sleep because I'm understanding them from the perspective of something I'm interested in. At school, when my teacher was teaching me, I'm like, in life. You understand? I wasn't very keen on it because I didn't see the significance of it. But once you start pursuing what you want to do, you'll start looking at it from a different perspective because now you are fueled by passion, which you might not have so much of right now. So don't let that put you off. You might just find that when you get there, you start enjoying it or you find it easier to do. Well, from my experience, that's what I found.
Yes.
I started even enjoying the science. Hence, I did so well at it when I got to aviation. I did better than when I was in high school. So please don't let things like that throw you off. It's doable. So coming back to my panel, my guests, my last two guests, 30 seconds. what does Youth Month mean to you? Because we're still there, we're still commemorating it. Just briefly, what does it mean to you? And what do you think it should mean to them? Briefly.
For me, Youth Month reminds us of what the youth of 1976 went through for us to get opportunities like these, the ones that we get today. So my advice to the students here is that when you get an opportunity, please appreciate it, because there are a lot of other kids out there that needs it. And we should really put a good use and effort to our youth days, so that one day when we grow older, we can look back to our great achieved milestones.
Oh, thank you. Words of wisdom for us, Youth Day?
Regarding Youth Day, the selfless act of the youth of 1976 will go down as one of the greatest events in the dark history of our country. Although there's a lot that we still need to do, it's through their sacrifices that the dream of equitable access to education, opportunities, and resources is slowly being realized. It is through their relentless and concerted efforts that I was able to pursue and even get a degree, and my postgraduate degrees at WITS, and I'm currently now doing my PhD. It's through their fight that I do not have to suffer the same fate of oppression, and I didn't have to go through my schooling years being taught in Afrikaans as a black child. So I will forever cherish that gift that they gave to me.
Wow, that's amazing, guys. She's doing her PhD. That's amazing. I hope you see the opportunities that are available to us. Back in the day, we used to think, when you think PhD, someone who has a PhD, you think, somebody that is relatively older. To sit here with such a young person saying, I'm doing my PhD, it's really commendable. It blows me away, honestly. So, guys, I hope this is slowly opening your eyes to the world of opportunities that are out there. So, on that note, I just want to quickly remind the ladies in our industry, my fellow aviators out there, CAA has a new card license. So, for us that are still carrying around books, maybe visiting the CAA website can help you. Visit the website www.caa.co.za. See if you're eligible for the new card license. I know I am. So I'm going to leave it to the ladies and you at home as well to go find out if you're going to require one or not, and what are the steps you need to follow in order to acquire it. Some information is also available on the various social media platforms. And as we wrap the show up, I just want to thank our studio audience as well as our guests. Thank you so much for sharing this pool of wisdom that you have as we try and open up this industry for our audience, which is the youth of South Africa, coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, so that you don't have to struggle the way that we did. We are passing on the baton. We took it from the youth of 1976 and ran with it. Now we are passing it on to you. The CAA is bringing you the information. Please take it. Please use it. Run with it. Build your life. Make the sky your playground. It doesn't have to be your limit. I also just want to thank the CAA, which is the South African Civil Aviation Authority, for bringing us this opportunity, because without them, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you so much. Come join us. V12. Uzandi Lendle. Engineer Rolls-Royce. I am. If I am, so can you. Thank you.
Babalal Kota from Soweto, specifically Shawela, currently doing my matric year, and I am 17, soon to turn 18. I am an aspiring aviator and specifically pilot. So join me as I venture into my journey in the aviation industry, specifically being a pilot. And I'm going to share my good and bad experiences throughout the journey. I would like to genuinely pay my gratitude to the CAA for granting me the opportunity of being a career ambassador. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Anna Kudzai Priscilla Mtawarira, and I am from Rhodesville Technical High School. I'd like to pursue a career within aviation, and to be specific, it would be to be an avionic technician. And I've been granted this opportunity by SACAA, which I'd like to really thank them for, because it's not every day an opportunity like this comes in our way. So I'd like for you guys to follow me on this journey of me being an avionic technician, and I hope that I can pursue this career in this space. Thank you.
Good day to all. I go by the name Chantal Tapsile Mngube, aged 17 years. I am currently in grade 12. When I finish my grade 12, I'd like to pursue my career in aviation, being a pilot. By that, I dreamt of being a pilot from a very young age. Follow my aviation career journey from today till my first day at work. Along my journey, I would like to share my good and bad experiences. By that, I'd like to thank the SACAA for the great opportunity they've given to the leaders. By that, I'd like to say thank you.
Good day. My name is Lindo Uhle Mahlango. I study at Rhodesville Technical High School based in Captain Park, Rhodesville. The career I'd like to pursue in aviation is aircraft maintenance engineering. I am 17 years of age and I am in grade 10. I'd like to thank the CAA for giving us the platform to express ourselves, and I'd like to invite you in my path to success. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Teminkosi Elizabeth Nyoni, and I'm a 17-year-old learner, grade 11 learner from Roseville Technical High School. I'd like to pursue aeronautical engineering in aviation, and I'd love for you to come with me in my journey of going through this journey. And I'd like to thank CAA for giving us the platform and opportunity for us to explore our careers. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Emmanuel Chabangu, and I'm a learner from Bukoni Technical Secondary School. I'm currently in grade 12, and I'm 17 years old. When I finish my grade 12, I want to pursue a career in aviation. Specifically, I want to be an aircraft maintenance engineer. Please follow my journey from today up to the first day in my dream job. I'd like to thank the South African Aviation Authority for choosing me as their career ambassador.
Good day. My name is Fiona Koza, and I am a student from Bitumelong Senior Secondary School, and I am 17 years old. When I complete matric, I would love to pursue a career in piloting. I would love you to follow my aviation career journey, as I'll be encountering challenges and will be sharing my amazing experiences with you. I would love to thank the South African Civil Aviation Authority for choosing me as their career ambassador. Thank you.
Dimela, libitso la ka ke nna Mpho Modise. Ke tsena sekolo ko Bukoni, ko Atteridgeville, and I'm 17 years old. And I'm currently in grade 12. The career that I would like to pursue is aeronautical engineering. I would like you to join me on this journey, as I'll be taking you through my most amazing experiences and challenges. And I would also like to thank the CAA for this great opportunity.